Hey guys, today we'll be looking at deploying our web application to AWS, basically to S3, and serving the same web app using CloudFront and SSL. So the goal of this video is to basically have a rundown of all the steps that we follow in order to achieve this. So to start with, we have a react.js application that we have made, and just to give you a background of what we have. So basically we have a react application that we have made, and the goal for today's video is to basically deploy this application to AWS in an S3 bucket, and have the S3 bucket served through CloudFront using SSL on our own custom domain name or a subdomain for that matter. So basically what we want is that our app should be publicly accessible to the web, and it should have its own unique domain name. For example, we already have a deployment, a very similar deployment such as this. Now, as you can see, this is our domain name of mussolini.com, and we're actually using a subdomain. This is also a React.js application that is being served from S3 CloudFront combination. Now, why we are choosing these set of technologies, or why just we don't choose S3 alone, is a matter of it's a secondary discussion that we can go into. This is basically a tutorial video. It doesn't explain why, but it explains the how. So essentially, what we have is a subdomain, and this is what we want. Basically, we want our application to have a subdomain like this, not the dashboard.mussolini.com, but let's say it has a subdomain of portal.mussolini.com. So right now, I don't think that this would work because this has not been configured at the moment. So we want our application to be served from this domain name using HTTPS and from CloudFront, essentially from S3. So here we go. So first things first, let's first of all create our S3 bucket in which we are going to upload our application. Please do note that this tutorial is not specifically to React.js applications, but also can be applied to other web apps. Just the condition being that the content you're serving has to be acceptable to a browser. So a browser can read that content. So if it has HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files, you're good to go basically. So let's start. So let's first start by making an S3 bucket. So we'll have a bucket name of so you can have, I already have these buckets over here. So we're gonna have a bucket named as Mussolini portal, because our application is basically a portal. So let's have a bucket name of Mussolini portal. So we'll copy settings from our dashboard. I mean, we obviously have to configure these options manually later. Let's see. Yeah, so we have versioning. Yes, we definitely want to enable versioning, and we have permanently allow buckets to be locked. No, not really. We don't want really CloudWatch metrics at the moment, because we really don't care about the the number of requests that we have, because we use Google Analytics on our application, so we don't really need this for now. So let's just go now to, okay, so this is the Acl policies. All right. So I'm not blocking any Acl policies that grants public access, because we definitely want public access. So I'll just be removing all of these Acl policies. We'll be later on configuring restrictions through the bucket policy itself, and not using Acl policy at the moment. Block new bucket policies. No, we definitely want a bucket policy. And yeah, this is okay. I think we should probably uncheck all of this for now, and let's go. So this is my permission, this is my summary basically. So I think this is good to go. So we'll probably create this bucket, and so now the bucket has been created. But then in this bucket, I mentioned that we need to have some bucket policy. Basically, why? Because we need to give public access to all the files, because it's a website basically, right? And we also have to limit the permission so as to only certified AWS users of our account can upload content to this bucket. So basically, this is what we are going to do. So we are just quickly going to copy the properties from one of these buckets. For example, if we have another bucket of the website, so we can copy the bucket policy of this bucket. So let's just copy this. I also like to keep my CORS configuration on, just because the, like, I mean, this is a website, it shouldn't really run into CORS issues, but I mean, I don't know, I am really skeptical at times, you know. Sometimes we have cross origin requests, you know. We probably, maybe sometime in the future we actually decide to serve this content using a separate, you know, on using on some other website. So basically I leave my CORS on. So we'll copy a couple of these configurations really quickly. So let's go to our bucket now. Yeah, by the way, I know this video is probably a little boring. I understand that, because that's because this is one of my first videos, my first tutorial videos. I'm not really into making these videos, and it's really I mean, I don't know, it's really something for me right now. Okay, so let's quickly go to our bucket that we have just made. And okay, let's first copy the bucket policy, or might as well just copy the cars first. Okay, so we're copying the cars, this is good. Also, let's quickly copy the bucket policy from the website. Now make sure that we have the bucket name is properly matching. So this policy basically just allows read access to everyone, and by default it doesn't allow any access. So that means that all the write access is still protected through, you know, the write access is still protected, and we have the public read access. So this is what we want, and we're just going to save this policy. Okay, yeah, but this is okay since we want public to be, bucket to be public. Also, there's another setting that we have to do, that is that the buckets, these S3 buckets, are not typically used, are not typically configured for hosting a website. Basically, they are storage, they are like, these are storage for objects, for images. But essentially we have to do a little more configuration before it can handle uh, um, uh, it can handle website, like it can act like a website. So this is the setting that we have to, you know, enable. This is, so it says static web hosting, host a static website which does not require server side technology. So this is exactly what we want. We want a static file server basically to serve a website, and this is what we're going to do. So we are going to use this bucket to host a website. Our index document is of course index.html. I think we just probably have to type it through so as we can save this. Okay, so we save it. Now this is good to go. I mean, this is all we have to do for the bucket. Now before we get into anything else, let's just quickly uh, let's see. So we have this URL for the bucket. Right now it won't be serving anything because there's not no files in there. So the first things first, let's like upload our site into this bucket and check it out directly using this bucket link. After that we can configure the other goodies. So let's do that. So here's my React application, the Mussolini React application, right? So we have a build script, a shell script written for the public upload to S3. uh, you know, so we have a script written that basically, you know, sets the environment variables, and here's like the access keys are hard coded in this shell file. So we want our, you know, so we want our website to be deployable from any computer. We don't have, you know, so this is like a one-step process basically all the time. We just need to make sure that we have the correct bucket name over here, and I'm pretty sure you don't need, I don't think you should be seeing this keys, but we probably need to figure out a way to uh, anyway. So also you can see that the last line is commented out. This is basically for CloudFront. So whenever we have a new deploy, we make sure that the CloudFront front's cache, file cache, is invalidated. So as any new request would now be served using the new content that we have uploaded, because CloudFront has a cache, you know, it stores our content from our S3 bucket into cache, so it caches them for faster use. So we want to invalidate that file cache, you know, but we don't have that Cloudfront distribution yet. So when we create that, we can have it. So for now, let's just, you know, develop, you know, just push stuff to our bucket. Let's see. So I already have a npm script for this, so let's just do that real quickly. I'll run the script. Okay, so I have a permission denied here because I need to give permissions to this file. So I don't have any, so I don't have, I've not given execute permissions to this file. So I need to do that before I run this file. So that's done. So let's do this. So it's good. So let's run this command and let's see what it does. It should build a React application, and after that it should like or upload our static assets to our bucket, basically a newly created bucket. So let's see how that goes. So meanwhile, while this is happening, right, so I'll quickly take a moment to explain. Oh, it's actually done. Anyway, so this okay, this is going real quickly. Okay, that's not bad. So anyway, so why we have CloudFront is because CloudFront firstly acts as a cache. So it's going to serve your content faster by means of a cache, as well as the fact that it serves your content through a cloud delivery network or a CDN, basically. So it distributes your website content, your S3 content to servers, across the globe. And once a request comes into CloudFront, it like automatically judges which is the closest server to the client, and it's so that way it so that way the latency between the server and the client is reduced, and the client is able to receive the file very quickly. Also, I was talking about the cache. I mean, for the cache, CloudFront automatically handles my cache header, so my browsers know when to cache the file and when to request for a new file. So essentially, I don't do that in any one of our our S3 buckets. We don't have a cache control there. There's also another reason why we have CloudFront is because it automatically compresses our assets. So I'll get to that later. Let's now this is done. So now this is done. So essentially, if we go here now, this should probably work, right? And yeah, exactly. Now this has worked. Now our React app is now deployed to S3. Wow, I'm already over 700 MBs. Wow. Okay, so this is the application. Now let's quickly see what's going on. Oh, this is my assets are probably downloading, I think. Let's see how big this app is. Let's do that request again. Let's see how much data comes in. Okay, so we have, oh, that's a lot. Whoa, that's a lot of kilobytes. Let's see. So as you can see, the requests served by S3 directly are a little slower. Also, I don't think there's any cache control on these assets. So let's see. Oh my, oh, this is quite a lot. I wasn't expecting it to be around an MB. What's going on? Wow. Wow, that's bad. That's really bad. I don't know. We'll have to see that probably later. Okay, so we have, but this is okay. I mean, for 2 MBs, I mean, okay, that's not actually that bad, but actually not bad considering we'll use a cache later. So this is my website is working now. Basically, this is my website and it's working, right? Yeah, this is working. Okay, this is good. So essentially, now that this is working, let's set up something else. Now let's set up our domain name. All right, for our subdomain. So but before we even do that, we first have to have an SSL certificate that we can use, that the CloudFront can use. So the steps are as follows. So firstly, you have the S3 bucket, and then you deploy the React application. After that comes your certificate provisioning, your SSL certificates. After that um, comes your CloudFront, and then we'll plug it to a domain name last. So let's generate the SSL certificate first. So let's go to our certificate manager. We have all of our all of our tools are inside AWS. We make sure that we use AWS because just so that we have a single point of entry for everything. Single point of truth. So basically, so once we have request a certificate from here, so it basically we have to request a public certificate and type the domain name here that we would register later in Route 53 of AWS, or maybe in our own DNS server for that matter. So for now, if my domain name is mussolini.com, and I have to add certain subdomains to this certificate. Also, AWS certificates are not editable. Once they're made, they can't be I can't just add a subdomain to that. So we have to make sure we add all the subdomains. For now, I already have a certificate made for portal.mussolini.com because I knew that we are going to eventually use this. So I had generated a previous certificate earlier which had dashboard, portal, widget, as well as the root, right? So this is my certificate, right? So we can see that I've already issued this. So this is what we're going to use. After this comes the CloudFront part. So let's have a CloudFront distribution. Now, as you can see, I currently have 3 CloudFront distributions for the website and dashboard widget. Let's make another distribution for portal. So let's start. So this is a web distribution definitely. So my domain name would be now. Now this is going to be the portal. We're going to choose this origin path. Let's not give an origin path here because our bucket already has an origin path. So we're not going to use that. So we're not going to restrict bucket access as well for now, just for just so that we have that access through the S3 URL as well. Also, okay, so this is we'll probably be redirecting HTTP to HTTPS, but not right now. We probably need to let's see if it works first. Only then we can have these rules. Also, let's see what we need. This is looking good. There's only one thing that we need to take care of. That's very important. Is this. So we generally do not compress our assets, in our build flow. So we generally ship JavaScript and CSS as is, and we don't compress it to gzip or broadly. So this is the setting that will compress them automatically on our CloudFront. So we use CloudFront for compression, and this is what we should use essentially. We don't bother with that in our yeah build flow. Okay, so this is distribution settings. Another thing that we need to have, we need to add our alternate domain name here. So it's portal.mussolini.com, I think. Yeah. So okay, so we're not going to use a CloudFront certificate. We're going to use our own, and let's see. I think this is the one that had the portal in it, so we're just going to choose this. Also, I think yeah. Now this is, we have to put an index HTML here for this, because this is for, I think we have to have this object here just to let CloudFront know which are default object. We don't have to have origin here. We just have to keep it there. So let's try. Let's make this distribution and let's see. So let's just create this distribution for now. The really sad part about CloudFront is that whenever you make some changes to its configuration, or deploy a website or S3 bucket or whatever, it just takes 20 minutes to deploy it across all their servers, and that's a real pain really, but that's how it is. So yeah, so this is happening right now, right? So while this is happening, well, all of this is happening, like so what we can do is we can, for now, there's only one setting actually that we didn't do. It's the one that it redirects our HTTP to HTTPS. That's in the behaviors tab, I think. Yeah, here it is. See, so we're not going to do that because like we don't. Let's first test it on HTTPS, and if it works, and then we can go forward with the redirect anyway. Okay, so this is good. So once this is going on, let's quickly go to now our domain name. So we go to route 53, right? So we have to, so let's see. So let's go to route 53 now. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so here's my domain name, hosted zone for my domain, Celine.com, right? So essentially we need to have an alias for our CloudFront distribution now. So let's make it. So as you can see, all my records are here. So I just need to create a record set. I need to write portal, that's the name of the domain name. This is a alias. So essentially my target will be my CloudFront distribution, and here it is. Here's my distribution, and let's just create this one now. This is all that we have to do basically. Now this is done, right? This is basically done. Now we just need to verify this really quickly. If you go to portal.mussolini.com, I mean it hasn't yet like populated. The DNS cache hasn't populated yet. A DNS configuration hasn't propagated yet. We probably need to check it on our incognito browser because of the fact that we might cache it. Browser might cache the DNS setting. It's not working at the moment, but I know this will not work until our CloudFront, does its job. So let's see where it is now. Yeah, so it's deploying at the moment. Yeah, this looks good. I mean, this looks really good. Yeah, S Ssl Certificate. Yeah, this is okay. This is all okay. I mean, this is okay. This is okay. This is really okay. Now, basically, now this our website should show up here also, and the content should be served through CloudFront. Also, there's one important thing that we need to do now is that we have the distribution ID for portal, right? So we just need to copy this basically and paste it in our paste it in our sh file, so it knows which CloudFront cache to violate. I'm really sorry if I didn't really explain these concepts a little more. That's because this video is not meant to be a tutorial for technologies. This is like a how to video rather than a Y video. So you probably need to understand that. So this is all the steps that we have for now. I think this should be all really. Once this distribution status changes to ready, we can have that behavior for HTTPS, and that's the only thing that you need to do at the end. And I think this should be all. I think this should do the trick. Right now, I don't have anything here, but let's see. Let's in fact also try our CloudFront domain name. CloudFront also has its own default domain name. I think it's here. So let's just see if that's working, and we'll know for sure what's wrong. Okay, so this is not working as well. So basically, our CloudFront hasn't basically done its job. So yeah, this is basically it. This is basically it. This is how you would go about setting your own system, right? So basically, so you see this build folder. This is our build folder for our web app. So if you have a static any website and like you have its own content, you can basically upload that to S3 and follow the same set of steps. So it doesn't matter if you have is React, Vue, or Angular for that matter, and this should really be enough. And yeah, so that's about it for now. And really glad I made this video for you guys, and I hope I make more in the coming future. So bye bye.